You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Love those sweet moves.
Happy Thursday night, Robert!
Wah, wah, wah.
We are the Beans and Dice podcast, and we're coming to you live from Studio B, Studio K. Wayne, Studio K, and all the way from the West Coast Beans and Dice crew, my man, Mike Lorenzo. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
We're your hosts, and our guest today, Mike Lorenzo and Wayne Kruger, coming from Studio K. Thank you for joining us. It is the Thursday night call-in show. I had a whole different plan for how to intro that.
Yeah,
I just don't know what
happened
happened.
to our introduction.
On the fly,
That,
yeah.
went
It
right
fell
out
apart.
the
They didn't even
window.
get to say their own names.
No, we don't
I'm
rate
Mike.
that. I'm Wayne.
It's how we game. This is all a game.
Definitely not work. Definitely not scripted.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just here to have fun.
Been a long
Join us in the comments tonight. Let us know how the audio's going. Kind of give us an update on how that's going, making sure that's all nice and clear. But what we do is on Thursday nights, we take your phone calls to talk about gaming in your life, in your gaming circles. In between your phone calls, we just blather and talk random crap about games.
Just stuff. And it's not all gaming either. We talk whatever you want to talk about. We talk about geeky goodness, movies, TV, whatever's going on. OGLs, D&D, all that good stuff.
Oh, I love me some OGLs.
Rob brought up
Yummy.
OGL. He wants to talk about the OGL.
Yeah, it's inevitable. Yeah. After all the stuff that's gone on in the last week and us talking about it last week, we got to
Well, pre-show, we were in here rambling.
got to touch back.
So now let's catch the folks up at home a little bit on what we've been talking
Phone
about.
line is open, 813-618-7099, but we're going to keep talking.
All right, so OGL news. We talked
news.
last week a little about the open gaming license for WotC, Wizards of the Coast, owned by Hasbro,
Yep.
and how they decided that somebody leaked, and I have a feeling it's somebody at WotC that leaked it.
Probably on purpose. But yeah.
Usually,
Yeah.
and they're going to be They were going to remove the open gaming license for the prior versions of Dungeons and Dragons that had this perpetual license of companies and other people to be able to use the D&D rules in creating their own campaigns, their own settings, multiple types of things, content effectively using that D&D brand, the branded rules. But now they decided they were going to take that away. And it's been a crazy week. I don't know, Wayne, about you, but I've been following a lot of the blogs, a lot of the videos, reading a lot about the legal ramifications of this. And Robert and I are both insurance guys.
Sure, yeah.
Insurance is a contractually based industry. It's all about contracts. We do a lot of contract reading.
Yep.
So it's been fun enjoying, for me at least, catching up on this OGL stuff. What's the update,
Well,
Wayne?
let me just ask real quick before Wayne jumps in. So, and again, I have not been keeping up with it. I've seen a couple of the posts. I've read all the stuff y'all have put on the Discord, but I haven't watched any of the videos. But when we talked about it last week, they were going after, it sounded like, the big players, the people who were making big money off of this stuff. Is that still what we're looking at, or
Sort of, yes. So what?
Okay.
So what it is? Yeah, this news and Carlos, what I've seen is they actually sent out this OGL 2 to several companies to kind of like allow them to pre-sign on. And if they pre-signed on, they gave them a better cut. So instead of 20 and 25%, it was like 15%. And somebody from those companies is what really was leaking it because it was BS. And so, yeah, what I think is what's ruining people, though, is initially it came out that they were going to come out with a new OGL. And everyone thought it was just going to be for D&D version 6, which is really just one D&D, which is their online virtual tabletop thing. And going forward, it would have these kind of craziness. But when the leaked version came out, it was not only is it everything going forward, but we're going to invalidate the original OGL, and everyone now has to sign on to the new one. And it was, they said it's only going to affect 20 companies, but it's that make over 750,000. But then it spiraled into, it's not just companies, it's Kickstarters. And it's off of gross revenue from the Kickstarter. So if you're Kickstarter,
that's the part that I wanted to clarify for Robert, Wayne, is Robert says, but it's only going to affect certain companies, right? No, it affects everyone that touches in that space. But when you reach a threshold, WotC gets their hands in on your money.
Right, and it's worse than that. Is in the OGL version 2, it says, we're going to set it at anything. We're going to get 20 or 25% of all money over 750,000, but we have the right to at any time change that threshold. So, and then they said anyone who makes 50 grand or more off of our OGL product, you must open your books and show us all your information. So even if I make $50,001, I'd have to show to WotC, here's my ledger, here's how much money I made, here's everything. And as they got more of that data, pretty much everyone assumed that 750,000 would start lowering down.
Because they had it written in there where it said,
they can change it whenever they
or
want.
if we choose you are a success.
Right.
750,000, or if we choose you are a success.
So define success, yeah.
And basically then every company, because I mean, basically anybody that has a medium-sized company is making 50 grand a year, right? In theory. And so they'd have to literally turn over all their financials to WotC to be able to look at and determine things, right? And then it was, well, and if we could, and for any reason, we don't like the way you look at us, we can revoke your use of the OGL, and you must then immediately stop using all of your work. Oh, and by the way, we can use your work for free forever.
What?
Yeah.
To use as we see fit.
As we see fit. So
All
they
right.
could literally, like, you could create the greatest game world ever, and then they can go back and say, hey, you had this tweet from 15 years ago that was a little sexist or a little racist, so we're going to revoke your OGL, but we get to keep all your work and use it for free.
And now publish it and sell it.
And now
make
publish
money
it and
off
sell it on our own. And you can't, there's no recourse because you signed on to this new OGL. So it wasn't really an OGL. It was pushing that business. And so think about it. If you're Kickstarter.
It isn't an OGL. That's the thing. How does it? How is it an open gaming license if you've closed how I steal your money?
Right, yeah. And then what's
The only thing open is my wallet, and you
think about
put your hand in it.
It's not like if I make over 750,000, they're going to take 20 or 25%, depending on whether it's Kickstarter or retail, right? But 25% is a huge fee, right? That's crazy, right? So if I make $1 million Kickstarter, I got to pay 25% of the 250,000 over that. But I don't make $1 million profit. It's not on profit. It's not what's left over after. And even I did actually post that question to Jamie Stegmeyer on his weekly chat, and he said that's pretty common though to use. Was it gross revenue, not profit? Because people, companies could then just hide the profit by
just donate all my money to
myself. Yeah, but that's crazy though, because like most of these Kickstarters don't have a huge margin of profit, and if you have to turn around, or even just your company, 25% margin of profit is pretty huge, and you got to pay your employees, you got to pay for shipping, you got to pay for so it would literally put a lot of companies out of business, which is what they kind of want, because they want everyone in their sandbox. Because basically what I learned is, I guess the new CEO of Wizards of the Coast, it's a woman. She previously worked for Microsoft and Amazon. Those are two companies that don't play well with others, right? They are monopolistic in their view set. And so the first thing she said is D&D we're under monetizing D&D. What do you mean under monetizing D&D? So it's basically they really just want to go after everybody, and they wanted to push out these third-party companies, which is crazy because back in the early 2000s, D&D was dying, and the open gaming license saved D&D and really kind of brought it back. I mean, D&D would not have survived probably if the OGL didn't have all these other companies join in. So, but they backed away. Today, they were supposed to have an announcement today at 3 p.m., basically putting out this open gaming license.
This article came out just 5 hours ago. I saw it earlier today while I was cooking dinner or something. I saw the article. I was like, ooh, bringing it back.
Yeah, there was a huge concerted effort today on Twitch and YouTube and social media to have everybody cancel their monthly subscriptions to the D&D Beyond. And apparently it was so successful, it crashed the site, the ability to cancel subscriptions. So I'm assuming that somebody ran into the CEO's office going, hey, we just had 20,000 or 30,000 people.
And he yelled, crash it now. Call the Russians. We need it crashed now.
The system.
Conveniently, the cancel subscription page was no longer working. But so I mean, obviously they're panicking. And then on top of that, Paizo, who's probably the next biggest guy in the board game, in the RPG world. They are the ones that created Pathfinder. They announced today that not only is their new Pathfinder 2 basically already not using their OGL, the D&D OGL or open source, that they're going to create their own open gaming license. And they're going to do so in a way where they're going to hand the open gaming license to a copyright contract patent law firm and turn it over to them and for stewardship. That it's going to be forever. Any company can use it. They're going to be here for the creators when other people aren't. And actually it was funny. The Paizo website is now crashing because 1 million people are going to read this blog post. And they've had several other large companies like Green Ronin and a bunch of other ones that are now signing on to use Paizo's open gaming system, which is going to be D20 based and similar enough to D&D where you can just move it over. And as a little extra screw to WotC, Paizo posted that they're putting this most of their books on sale for 25% off.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
So
I guess I've been kind of out of touch with this. I didn't even know that this was going on. So this is going to affect like all those Kickstarters that you see, like using the 5e,
Yep.
all those people are going to be affected.
Yes, any of those Kickstarters that make more than $750,000 would have to pay.
Or WotC determines that they are a success.
Right. Yeah.
25% of anything of what they and that
Let's
they
add a
would
little
own
shade
the
to that.
product.
Let's add a little shade to that because it was actually, if you use Kickstarter, 20%. If you use the other crowdfunding, right, it's 25%.
Oh, wow.
Well, wait a minute. Who's got a cousin at Kickstarter?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
Right?
I was gonna say, well,
Kickstarter?
Kickstarter made a deal with WotC,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, I can totally see that definition of being successful changing
Oh, yeah.
rapidly over time.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like what company, like, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to turn my tax returns over to you guys, right? Like, what I'm saying? Like, you basically just have to turn your tax returns over to WotC and show your books to them. And that's kind of crazy. Like, I don't, there are very few companies that are open about their books. I mean, like, Jamie Stegmeyer is one of them, right? He posts, but he doesn't even show you everything. He
Right.
just kind of shows
Yeah.
some gross numbers and counts, but you have to basically show. And then there's the question of like, well, if I have a Patreon, and it even goes into the Patreon. Like if I have a Patreon and I'm making money on that, I have to tell you how I'm making money on Patreon, and they can then tax that too and say. But then it's
That's
like, well,
ridiculous.
if I have Patreon, but I'm doing stuff for other systems. Well, how do I know which portion of my Patreon money is D&D based and how much is this based? And they basically said, no, it's your total revenue off of anything associated. So yeah, they really grossly overstep their bounds here.
Rich Yazzie says, yeah, the if we deem it successful means they're like the NFL. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to some extent, I can see, so this new person comes in and she looks and sees D&D all over the gaming world and says, hey, are we making money off of any of this? And I mean, probably, obviously some, they have licenses and they do things, but
they got a movie coming out, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but I can see,
just like all of them.
I can see the argument that they were under monetizing, but yeah, again, to swing to this extreme
Right.
is crazy.
But what's really interesting, and what in some of the stuff I watched this week, there was one by for years, Hasbro would have their shareholders meeting and basically say, hey, we're funding these new toy lines and this and that and whatever. And for years, the investors and the hedge fund guys never really asked where all the money came from to fund all the projects that Hasbro does, the movies, the Transformer movies, all these other things, right? And so finally, some hedge fund guy like last year really went through the numbers, right? And he said, okay, Hasbro's worth like $6 billion. And he looked at all the numbers and he said, really, if you took Wizards of the Coast and separated it from Hasbro would be worthless, right? And the point being, what he's saying, though, is it's not really the case. He's like, but what really would happen is if you spun Wizards of the Coast into its own company, it would be as valuable as Hasbro. And so what he's saying is like all of the money for Hasbro is coming from Magic the Gathering and D&D. Wizards of the Coast basically funnels the money that floats Hasbro.
But let's remind folks at home, Wizards of the Coast also means Magic the Gathering.
As I said, Magic the Gathering and D&D. And Magic the Gathering is a large chunk of that, but D&D is also a huge chunk too. And so
especially recently, COVID-wise, Stranger Things-wise, like all these things have come together to really make D&D open culture now, not just geek culture.
Yeah, so there was a huge push late last year from shareholders to say, "Hey,
did they try a buyout?"
They wanted to separate the companies and have Wizards of the Coast spin off from Hasbro, and then so if I owned a share in Hasbro, I would get another share in Wizards of the Coast. So I'm going to double my money if you separate the companies, and that's what this hedge fund tried to do. So I think
they went in and bought a whole bunch of shares of Hasbro so that they can increase their vote strength,
right?
So that when it went to vote, they would be able to say separate it.
Right.
But it was kiboshed.
Yeah, it was. It didn't go through, but it still might come back around because that's such a valuable thing. So, but that's what you think.
What do you folks at home think? 813-618-7099. It is a call-in show. Yeah. We do have our expert on the line, our financial expert and advisor, This is not legal advice. Asterisk, asterisk. Wayne on the show. Call in.
This
Let
is
us
Mike
know what
from
you think.
Seattle. Got a comment on this.
Oh yeah.
Take my legal advice on stocks. There you go.
Yeah, definitely not mine.
And you don't have to talk about this. If you call in, you got other things you want to talk about. This is just filling some time here, but I know this is a popular subject right now. So
Rob would disagree. It's not his world, but
yeah, it's not my world. I'm not an RPG guy. I've never been huge on D&D. It's okay. I like my dungeon crawler, but
see, and you're right. I haven't played D&D. I haven't even. Let me be honest. This whole shelf back here is full of D&D. I got D&D paraphernalia, D&D cards, D&D product, D&D dice. D&D, a lot of D&D stuff because I love D&D. I have yet to play 5e.
you like the thought of it. Yeah.
I have yet, because I grew up playing it. It was the first real hobby game I got into when I was in 6th grade, and I played a lot of it all the way through high school, all the way through college. But as an adult, as a dad adult lately, it's been a while. Yeah. It's been a long while, but I still love it. But to me, it's more than just the love of D&D. Excuse my mic. It's more than just the love of D&D. It's the impact to the gaming industry.
Yeah.
As a whole, because I mean that's such a big portion of the gaming industry per se. So it's I just see it as being I mean, it seems pretty negative in my opinion. I understand they got to get paid, and maybe they need to
they need to
fill in
ease
the
into
context a little bit and actually straighten out their definitions of what they consider what, and maybe limit it a little bit more to like the bigger companies like Hasbro and come to some kind of agreement or something.
Ease into it. 25%, is a huge number when you're going from 0 to 25%.
Right.
That's just crazy. So yeah, they needed to ease in maybe 2% or 5% or something, and then increase it in a couple of years or something like that. So
yeah.
And I know I mentioned before the show, what's interesting, and I think it brings it back to the board game world, is I mentioned, in the board game world, there's really no argument over mechanics and rules, right? You can't copyright. It's a tacit agreement. Everyone in the board game universe kind of knows. You can't copyright rules, can't copyright mechanics. But for 30 years, or actually longer than that, for 45 years, we've had some kind of weird underground rule that you can't copy the mechanics of D&D, that they somehow own.
It's just the litigation fear. It's the litigation fear. It's the pressure. It's the same pressure that Warhammer Games Workshop 40K puts on the community, right? About don't touch our stuff or we'll sue you. And you don't want to have to defend yourself in court because you don't want to have to get an attorney. I mean, that was another one of the articles that I had saved to talk about today with regards to Warhammer, having to do with their streaming services. Because we just last year, for you miniature war gamers out there, I know we're talking to the
Rob's
the
getting
role
even
players.
more interested.
even more in my crowd, in my wheelhouse. Yeah, bring it on. Come on.
At this point, Robert gets up and walks
He's
away.
walking out now. It's just the bean
I'm hanging
show.
in there. I'm hanging in there. I'm a gamer.
Warhammer or Games Workshop sent out these letters to all these content creators that wrap themselves around the Warhammer world, 40K world. Hey, stop touching our stuff. Right? You make videos on YouTube, we're suing you. Stop. And then boom, they showed up with their Warhammer Plus streaming service. $6 a month. You can stream all kinds of Warhammer content.
Yeah.
Right? A year later, and they only have 115,000 subscribers. So it's
Big
like
success.
and it left such a bad taste in the mouth of gamers to watch their favorite channels that they followed, that they subscribed about this content disappear and get pushed away from it.
And I think it sours them. I mean, you talk about people that have been dealing with these companies or these types of games for so long. It's part of their life at this point, and then they feel like, I would think that they feel like they're wronged at this point. Like, why are you trying to make this money grab when you're already getting crap? Especially 40,000. They're getting a crap ton of money left and right. You have to admit that. I mean, you don't buy just one miniature. Like when you're in 40,000, you're in 40,000. You're jumping.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you know.
I don't want to talk about this in public.
Boxes in the garage. Yeah,
I feel attacked. I feel attacked.
I would think it leaves like a bad taste in your mouth when a company that you look up to does something like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it would do that to me.
But nobody else publishes Blood Bowl, so where else am I going to go?
This is true.
That is true.
That's
That was
the tough
a joke I made on one of the streams I was watching. I said, it's almost like Games Workshop. D&D said, hold my beer. To Games Workshop.
We'll show
You
you
think
guys.
you hate Games Workshop?
You hate Games Workshop? Hold my beer.
Watch what we can do.
Look what I can do.
That's funny.
Rich says verification of any percentage would be a nightmare. Easiest thing to do is to charge a flat rate up front, varied based on scope, etc., and have a renewal and possible adjustment each year.
Yeah.
That would have been a great phone call.
Yeah, would have been.
It would have been.
Just saying. If there was like a call-in show that talked about
Where you
these
could just call
topics.
and talk about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Still love you, Rich.
I've only crashed twice in my rat match so far.
You're talking
The Rally Man.
Rally
tournament.
Man?
Oh.
Yeah. I got back into my old habits of push.
No, I'm doing good this first one, so I need to keep it going.
All right, I'm gonna go with my topic here. What are y'all drinking tonight?
Actually must
I
have
was
had a Guinness
finishing my
tonight.
nitro cold brew from Starbucks. and
I
I
know that you're
wanted water.
in Washington. Yeah, you got to have your
Gotta keep it
Starbucks.
alive, man. There you go.
Rob with the Walmart filtered water.
There you go.
Hey, good times.
Purified drinking water from great value.
Wayne with
so-
the Plasto mug. What you got in there?
This is just water.
Vodka.
All right, water
I was
rules.
All right,
finishing
we're partying tonight.
finishing a Guinness, though. I was finishing a Guinness.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
I was all out of beer, so I'm now down to drinking Christmas wine.
Ooh,
Jeez.
Wine that my neighbor gave us
It's
for
rock
Christmas.
bottom there, scraping the bottom.
It's not
So,
terrible. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Sauvignon.
Yeah,
How many
Sauvignon.
glasses have you had there?
A wooden mug.
Call in now, 813-618-7099. Tell us what you've been drinking.
Hey, let's from ourselves.
All right, so I'll bring up a
Save
quick
us.
topic.
Yeah.
So I was in Florida for Christmas, and all my kids were there. It was the whole reason that my wife and I went there, have Christmas with everybody. After a couple of delayed flights or canceled flights, we finally made it there. But anyway, my son Mason, who's like my second oldest, he's like, "Hey, have you played this Marvel Snap yet?"
I keep seeing it, and I've stayed away.
I got on board last week. Yeah, I started.
Man.
Yeah.
I had it on my iPad Mini for the longest time, and I never opened it up. And I was like, I've had that installed for a while on my iPad. I'll open it up. Because he was playing it for like a couple of hours, and man, was that a big mistake. I probably have sunk more hours in that game in the past couple of weeks.
It hasn't
than
completely
I did
hooked me
all
yet.
last year with any kind of video game or PC game. And it was addicting for like the first 2 weeks. Now I'm kind of like burnt out. So I'm kind of reeling it back a little bit. And I might play 1 or 2 games a day, if that. But there was like one night I literally was up till 4 in the morning playing. And I finally looked at my watch. I'm like, what am I doing?
It can get you. It can get you. I downloaded it on my son's iPad, or he downloaded it, I should say, because he wanted me to play it. So we both been seeing it, and Dice Tower's been talking about it a lot lately. I think Z just did a What's Happening, and he played Snap for about an hour online. But we downloaded it, and I played it for about 2 hours, that first initial download, and I haven't actually played it again since then. But I can see where the addiction is. So it's one of those things. If you go into it, I'll probably be there all day. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's light, fairly light, pretty easy.
Plays very quick.
Yeah, very quick matches. You play random people online, and they pair you up compared with your stats and their stats.
Oh, so there's a ladder. So
Yeah, there's a ladder
Yeah.
system. Yes, we're trying to match you up with
You
people.
can make your own decks, and you know.
Yeah, you mix and match characters and try to chain things together, and it's the rules are real super simple. One of the hooks for me, or one of the hooks I think in the game, is that you're playing cards into 3 different, let's call them battlegrounds, 3 different areas.
Yeah.
There you go, locations, and each one does something different, but you don't see what all 3 of them do initially. In the first round, they only tell you what the first one does. You can still play into the second or the third location, but they're still secret what they do. They modify stuff. Some of them negate all cards that are there. Some of them multiply all cards by 2. They do these crazy
Destroy
things.
your cards and then give you more buying power for the next round. and-
Exactly. So you
Yeah.
can play into it, and a round is how many times do you go back and forth?
6.
It's 6 times. Okay.
But there's
So
a location that'll like throw a 7th round in there sometimes.
Yeah.
And
and so
kind of like what's the smash up?
Yeah, kind of like
Kind of like
Smash Up.
smash up the different locations on the board. You're vying for control of the locations.
Yep, very much like that. It reminds me kind of a battle line a little bit. You're trying to play the cards. It's not the sets like you do in battle line, but you're playing the numbers. And so you, at the end of the 6th round, whoever controls or has the most power in 2 of the 3 locations wins the match.
Right.
And every time you win, you're getting points to then go cash in for new, I won't call them decks, but new characters you can get, new cards you can get. You upgrade the art on the cards as you progress
That's
along.
like part of because like the cards, you kind of break the border on the cards and then they turn into 3D.
3D,
And like when you take your device and you kind of shift it side to side, it gives you that like
Gets you
parallax
popping out.
look.
So here's Michael laying in bed, 3 a.m,
Oh man.
moving his device around.
like he's looking at his porno mag or something.
Honey, wake up! Check this out. Look at this, honey. Look at this.
Well, and
Yeah.
so one thing I haven't played it. I've been resisting downloading it, but what I've heard is there is a pay to play aspect where you can sink money in microtransactions, but
Yeah.
you can do fairly well without ever putting money in.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Until you
That's what
get to the higher levels, and then it's kind of like you definitely realize you start losing more rounds the higher up in the rounds that you go, and it does become more involved. And maybe that's kind of like I got to a point I was like, I'm losing more than I'm winning at this point.
Yeah.
But to me, like just to kind of add to what Rob was saying, to me the fun of it is you think you're outsmarting the other person you're playing against at times, because you really have to kind of figure out, well, if they're going to be playing cards here, maybe I should play here, because a lot of the times I'll be playing against somebody and they're focusing way too much on one location, and then on the last round I just drop a card or two in a location that everybody's been that they've been ignoring, and I end up winning the round because of that. But it is a lot of fun, and the artwork is really cool, and it's total eye candy the entire time you're playing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's all about the characters.
And I know you're a big Marvel. What's the Champions? Is that the card game?
Oh yeah,
Fan. You're a fan as well. You and Ron Fraser, and many others.
Oh yeah.
But this isn't as deep as that game, is it?
no, not nearly as deep.
Yeah, this is real light. It's you're just kind of throwing cards out there, trying to make little combinations work between what the locations do and how some of your cards combo up and give you other abilities, and
Oh, yeah.
you can affect other ones.
Like I've got a destruction deck, I've got a low cost deck. I've already got like 5 or 6 decks that
you can save different deck layouts, so
Yeah.
you have the same pool of cards. Once you unlock a card, it's yours forever, but you can put it into several different preset decks. So if I want to play this deck, it'll pull all the cards that I saved for that deck. So it's pretty cool. Looks like we got a call coming in.
Hello, Mr. Oben. How you doing?
Oh wow!
Outstanding. Hello and good evening. Happy Thursday, gentlemen.
Happy Thursday.
Hey.
Thursday.
What's going on?
Yes. I'm doing well, man. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh yeah, we got you, Bobby.
Okay, very good. It is week 1 of the new season for axe throwing. So I am actually calling here, having finished my normal axe throwing, back to the regular routine.
Okay.
So now we can expect a phone call at somewhere usually towards the end of the show,
Yeah,
mid to late show.
Yeah.
But you are officially first caller for the day. We've had a lot of deep conversation today. Apparently, it is not provoking phone calls.
No.
Oh, well, I'm glad I jumped in when I could. Yeah, we had I actually had a pretty big board game weekend. My cousins came down, and we actually called it. We ended up jokingly referring to it as OpenCon 23.
Wow.
Because it felt like that from a just schedule perspective. Like there was nothing else we were going to do besides play board games between meals, and then when the meal was done, you go back to the table.
Okay.
Like it wasn't there was no pretense of like, oh, do you guys want to go see Tampa? Do you want to go out? Do you want whatever? Like none of that.
Doing it right.
We're staying here for 48 hours, and we're gonna see how many board games we can play.
Oh man!
Stopping to eat and shower and not needed.
So did you keep account how many you get in?
Yeah. So day 1 they didn't get there, so Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday morning. It even felt like a con because they flew out Monday at like noon, and we got a board game in Monday morning before they left. It was like it was great. So Saturday they got in midday. We did lunch, and then we jumped into Crusaders. Crusaders was the first game we played.
There you go.
And that was a fun freaking game, man. I mean, every time I play it, I don't have to tell you guys. It's not like it's a new game, but it was new to both of them, and they loved the variable power of each action as you move your tokens around the rondel, right? So it's not just the rondel mechanism, but I have to plan and plot what actions I'll take so that my move gets stronger or my crusade gets stronger, and that they loved, and their excitement reminded me why it's so good, right? And so which is a great thing about getting folks to the table and teaching them new games. They were looking down like, this is amazing. And I was like, you know what?
Look at our rank and stack board, our recently played ranking board that Rob and I have patented, trademarked, try to take it from me, no open gaming
like
license.
Yeah.
Crusaders is number 2 on my list.
That's it. It's good.
For a reason.
Yeah, no, it's really good. But I just love how it was a great way to kick it off because their enthusiasm reminded me, even though I've played Crusaders maybe a dozen times now, reminded me, it's really, really good. Which is great. We then did a lighter game, Scout, the card game Scout. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's pretty great. They actually brought that game and they taught it to me. So it was my first time playing it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Joyce joined us for that one actually, so it was a good little full table there with 4 players at Scout. And then we finished that. By then it was like we had to have dinner, and then after dinner we did a 3-player play of Endless Winter. So all
right, you want to play this game?
Yes.
Yeah, we got to get this in. We keep talking
first time this
we
weekend.
keep talking about it every week. Okay, y'all can tell us all about it then. I know Nick actually told us about it last week, but you want to jump in there, Mike, and just give us your quick 2 cents on it?
It was my first time playing, 3-player count. I think we all liked it. There's just the part where you're putting your what are the square things called where you're kind of like placing them on the board?
Cubes, usually.
No, no, the flat tomes or whatever they're called. That was like the one iffy part of the game where we were kind of like, we're not sure if that really fits into the game. But all in all, I mean, I got my rear end handed to me because I was spreading my stuff out way too much and not kind of focusing on one or two things. I was trying to do everything. And it totally killed my score at the end of the game. But I did like it, and I definitely want to try it again with the modules as well.
Yeah, we added, Mike, you missed, actually what you're just saying reminded me of what I said last week about how there's a lot going on, and it feels like there's all these different races. Like you want to be the first to build some megalith on a good spot, or you want to.
That's what they were, megaliths.
Set, you want to get the set of animals that you need. Yeah, that, and I agree. That part was. I mean, it's fine. It's just another thing. There's like 4 or 5 things you could do, mainly tied to the 4 main actions you can take. You know, there's the area control mechanism where it is a race to build your villages because only 1 village can be in each of those. Spots where the 3 tiles meet,
right?
Or it's a race to get your megaliths out, or it's a race to go up the idle track. And it actually reminds me of Tapestry a bit in that way, where there's 4 tracks, and each track in Tapestry presents you an opportunity to be the first to get to a monument, or to get to the end of the track, or to do whatever.
Right.
So actually, it's funny. I was just playing. I have 2 games of Tapestry going on BGA, and I was getting those feels of like, crap, I need to stop spreading myself thin and trying to push all of the tracks. Right? You gotta just what do you do? What do you do in this game? Kind of thing.
Because you talked about all the different things you can do in this game. I immediately thought of Tapestry because my ADD makes me lose. I think I scored 36 on my last game of Tapestry.
Is that what you're blaming it on, Carlos?
Oh yeah.
Listen,
Gotta be an excuse.
But it's true though, because in Tapestry there's so many buttons and levers that you can play with and push, but you don't win if you do that. You've got to focus on a strategy, on a plan. But I'm like, ooh, shiny new thing. Oh, that's going to let me roll a die. I'm going to go over there. Ooh, that's going to give me a shiny building. Let me go grab that. But there's no cohesive plan. I do a lot of stuff, but I get nowhere. Now, Nick, I know this is your show, but I'm going to interrupt you for a second here. We talked last week. Wayne brought it up. The differences between Dune and Arnak. In that,
Yeah.
is Wayne. This is Wayne's point. Mad props to Wayne on this one. In that, I can't recall any awesome stories that we left with from Arnak, although I love Arnak. But I can think of in Dune many stories of the games that we played, combats, competition, card play combos, etc., that we look back to. In your couple of plays of Winter, what's this?
Paleo Americans Endless Winter.
Endless Winter. I was going to say Escape Winter, but it's Endless Winter.
Close.
In Endless Winter, did you walk away with any fun, narrative, memorable stories of you and the players?
So I played. That's a great question. I played it twice, both of which were. There's a lot going on. It did feel like Michael just said there. I got my butt handed to me, but I want to play again. Both of my plays felt like that. This is a game. So the quick answer is not really, because it almost felt stilted by the learning curve, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
Okay, you're still not at the place where the rules have fallen away enough that you can play the game without having to like reference the rules, jump back to the sheet, and enjoy the game.
Right. Yeah. And now, I mean, there were definitely been good turns, big turns. That's something I think I talked about last week. On your turn, I do like this a lot. Unlike sometimes Tapestry, on your turn, it's like, okay, I have, several good options, or maybe that is like Tapestry. That's kind of why you get so scatterbrained. But yeah, it's fun. But as far as like narrative stories with players feeling like they understand how to work the game. Here, I'll put it this way. The game store track goes around to, I forget if it's 50 or 100, right? But it's almost not the point. I think it's 100. The score track goes around to 100. And the tokens, your score tokens, have the thing, the normal thing where you can flip them over to show that you passed 100 and now you keep going, right?
Yep. Just one thing on the mat.
One side, one side is blank and one side it shows 100.
On the mat, it goes up to 180.
It goes up to
wait.
Oh, the mat
the perimeter?
That's even more daunting. That's even more daunting. It goes up to 180. Okay. So none of the players in my two plays, I think, have scored over 80 or 85 maybe. And so we're still at that point, kind of like Carlos, like you're talking about with Tapestry, where you see people in Tapestry get scores of 300, and you're like, you're playing a different game than I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on here? I do feel like Endless Winter is going to present that, but ask me again in 4 more plays when maybe I've figured it out and I'm hitting 130, and it's like, oh yeah, no big deal. And I look back at my high score right now, I'm 78. And I'm like, what am I doing? But right now, that is kind of what it feels like. We need to figure it out how to do well in the game. So there you go.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to kind of add to that, like when we played our first game, I was playing with 3 people, and my friend Scott, just on the story side, he was like killing all the animals. Every time he would get an animal, he's like, all right, I'm killing this one to get the, the resources from it.
Animals.
It like became a joke almost. But anyway,
got to find that giraffe.
It was our first time playing, and he actually got 103 points on his first game. I got a measly 58. So that tells you how well I did.
Yeah.
But we were looking at the mat, and we're like, 180 points, like, how is somebody going to get 180 points in this game or more than that? But I guess I can see it happening. Maybe with the modules would definitely add more points, or
enjoy the experience. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick. I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Sorry.
I know it's his show. Back to you. Back to you.
Back to me. And then so that was Saturday. Sunday, real quick. You're getting the exclusive OpenCon 23. Roll out.
Hey, look, 30 minutes into the show, nobody else called.
That was one game.
So the show is now yours.
Sunday morning, we started with the light game of Wonderland's War, hitting which actually we played because of this show, your show.
Nice.
Where Wonderland's War came up. one of the last couple episodes as one of Rob's top 5 games that he wanted to play again.
Yep.
And I agreed with him on that.
Very nice.
And so there you go. I was like, well, let's play it. Let's play. We're doing a little bit of the con feel here. We have time for a longer game.
And had either one of them played that before?
That was good. No. So neither one has played. They dug it a lot. Jacob, is my cousin's son, and he's like 20 or so. He is a gamer. Like he
Really?
looks at a system and gets it. He won Endless Winter and he won Wonderland's War.
Wow.
Which is like okay.
Oh,
I
Nick
played
Oben's
both
got competition now.
Yeah.
I know who's not being invited to Nick Oben Con 2024.
That's right. But he can't come back. No, that was fun. it was good times. And then, oh yeah. So then what we did, so I could lick my wounds, we played a co-op game after lunch. So we did Wonderland War before lunch. Then we did lunch. Then we moved into Are You Ready? I'm so excited. I have been holding on to this box literally in shrink since CommandCon that we went to.
Whoa.
Wow. That's been a while.
2019.
13 clues?
Maybe?
Let me guess. 13
No,
clues.
Co-op.
Grizzled.
Co-op game.
Grizzled?
Grizzled.
You bought the super deluxe set.
Yep.
So you can cry
With the
more.
minis and everything.
It helps you
Yeah.
cry more.
That's exactly right. It's the Armistice Edition, which is a campaign. And so the reason I hadn't broken it out is because I was a little gun shy to like start the campaign.
No pun
and
intended.
then be like, I don't know what we're gonna like. Who am I gonna play with or whatever? But you know what? I was like, screw it. Let's play this game. We wanted to do a co-op, and they already had played Marvel United. I kind of threw that out there. They're like, oh, we did that before. So I said, well, I got this game that I've literally been holding on to for 3 years. We could just see how far we get, and I'm so glad we did because we did like a little training session. They have you play like a little mini thing, and then we did the first 3 chapters out of 9
Nice.
in the campaign, and it was fun. It was really fun. They got into it. It's a really really neat set where the campaign introduces a new mechanic or a new kind of card. I mean, it's all a card game.
I was going to ask if it kicks you in the teeth like the normal version.
So it doesn't as hard, not yet, but
Okay.
we're only 3 out of the 9 into it, and so it's made definitely to kind of lull you into a false sense of security. But it's neat. It gives Carlos, you would really dig it. It follows along with historical events that happened during the war and World War II, World War I.
World War
One.
It was the Saturn
yeah,
War.
World War I.
It was the one,
And-
which is what the Grizzle is all about.
Yeah, and so it's like you read a little like news article, like the card looks like a newspaper kind of thing, and you have to read it and see what's going on, and then based on what actually happens, it introduces some new card, new mechanic. I won't spoil too much. I mean, it's not like
I loved the mechanisms and the systems
it's fun.
in this game,
It's fun.
but I felt so like depressed.
Which is what their point was, right? World War I,
After
yeah.
every play of this game that I literally for free just gave away my copy.
Yeah.
Like, just get this out of my house. It makes me sad to look at this game.
Well, I had good time, and they had a good time. No, seriously, actually, you should try. I'd be happy.
For you folks at home, Nick didn't get into the themey part of it. It is World War I. You're playing French soldiers in the trenches of World War I. Your goal isn't to win the war. Your
Just not
goal
to
is
lose.
just to survive
Yeah, not to lose.
and not lose your sanity. Just get to the peace armistice without dying, which was huge. I mean, and look, folks, I will tell you, Netflix, I think, is the provider that does it. There was a recent movie on Netflix, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yep.
Okay, that's the one. Watch that. And that is the Grizzled in movie form. Right?
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil the plot of that movie, but the goal was to just get to the peace armistice without dying.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, like the last few hours of World War I
and it's
in
hard.
real life, like 300 people died in a battle that was senseless, needless battle for no reason. That's what the Grizzled remind me of. Mad props to you for keeping that one.
Yeah, and the original game you play, you kind of go full bore, and it's hard. That's the thing.
It is hard.
You know, a lot of co-op games find their sweet spot at. We've talked about this before as well. A lot of co-op games find their sweet spot at like a 60% or even 70% win rate. You know, that's like a nice place to be. Grizzled is like what, 20%?
10 or 20, yeah.
Like you yeah, I mean you are, which then I think is neat because that matches the theme of you are a no-name French soldier in the trench. Odds of survival was low, right? And that's the point.
Hey, we got a comment in the chat there, Nick. I know you're not on the video. Rich Yossi says, I've got a motto for ObenCon. There's nothing wrong with second.
Gotta rub that in a little bit.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. I like it. Ooh, very good. All right, that's good. Obviously, I'll end up real quick. But Grizzled was a highlight for me for sure. The play of Crusaders on Saturday was awesome, and they really liked it. To see their experiencing that new mechanic was great. We closed out Sunday with a nice, relaxing kind of hangout game of Tokaido, the very pretty walk on the Japanese road of Tokaido as you're moving around. I really liked and I do as well, the lightness of the game turn by turn.
Very light.
And how it becomes a hangout experience at the table, but it's not without some decisions to make. But the decision space is normally so small that it's like you can just kind of relax and hang out and check it out. Like, oh, this spot's available, sure, I'll go there. And this spot's available, sure, I'll go there. So for folks that don't know, Tokaido's big thing is the turn order is determined by the person furthest from the end. And on your turn, you can move forward as far as you want up to a limit. There is a limit. But you can move pretty far. But of course, if you move too far, then it won't be your turn again for a long time because it's always whoever is furthest away from the end.
That's Uwe. That's patchwork, baby. That's Patrick right there.
Yeah. Same thing. Exactly. Yeah. So the game encourages you to take a leisurely stroll. How slowly can you get to the end in a way that still lets you be strategic about where you're going, because where you go matters, and you can have strategies if you're trying to build up the mountain panorama, or you're trying to visit the souvenir shops, or do the encounters on the road or whatever.
Yeah, real simple.
So it's neat. It's a cute little game. I like picking it out at the end of the night when we're looking for something lighter. And then Monday morning, we sent him off with Arcana Rising, the nice game that now Rob has played.
The Abakai game.
This one. It's the yes, exactly, with all the crazy abacus systems. And actually, so it's funny. It is a true con experience because my cousin Noah just sent me a text today with a picture of the copy of Arcana Rising that he ordered on Amazon he was in the airport flying home that arrived today. So
it's funny because Rob and I were talking engine builders last week. We're just shooting a breeze outside
Yep.
after the show, just talking crap about games.
Yep.
Like we couldn't get enough during the show.
Exactly.
And I was talking on engine builder, and he's like, Arcana Rising. Like, no way. That crappy Abakai game?
Yeah. I was like, minus the abacus is eyes, and but the rest of the game is solid. Yeah.
It must be good then.
Yeah, it's good. Yep. It's another simple game, pretty easy to teach, just a couple mechanics.
Because I was touting the greatness of gizmos, and he's like, no, Arcana Rising though, like that's where it's at.
Something like that. Yeah.
It was good.
It's got
good. And
poker,
they bought
chips
that.
in it.
Actually, I'm surprised. I'm surprised they didn't buy Crusaders, but no, Arcana Rising is good. And actually, it is worth noting. I had him open up the box and say, hey, I think the Kickstarter copy is the one that's got these stupid Abakai. What do you have? And sure enough, the retail copy that you can get probably on Amazon or whatever, or if you're local, from the game store if they have it, doesn't have the abacuses. It just has point tokens. Like when you store point, you take a freaking cardboard token. It's one.
This might be one of the rare instances then where having the retail version is as good or possibly better.
Red Rising. Yeah. Like I want the retail version of Red Rising because I can't tell the difference of the colors of the cubes.
Agreed.
In the collector's edition.
Yep.
Sorry, Jamie.
Anyways, there you go. That's the quick recap of the unofficial OpenCon.
Open Fest.
21
OpenCon,
minutes,
yeah.
59 seconds and counting. The quick
Sounds like a
recap.
good time,
There you
man,
go.
for sure.
Yeah.
We love you, Nick. Thank you for showing the folks at home how it's
Yeah.
done during the call-in show.
Yeah.
That's a call-in show. I'm sure by now you probably have like 500 people waiting to call in. They're all pissed at me. So I'll
hopefully.
go and get out of their way.
Yeah, we'll hang up and it'll be crickets again.
Easy now.
All right, Bobby. Hey, congratulations on achieving your judges certification for the National
Thank you.
Axe Throwing
Yeah, very nice.
Association of the Americas, right? Did I get that right?
What's the acronym on that?
World Axe Throwing.
That
And I saw that the
I appreciate it.
the voice of Beans and Dice has returned to a full-time working, so that's
more money for
congratulations
gaming.
on that. Yeah.
More money for board games, baby.
That's right.
Send wifey out, get some
Out
pay,
there,
buy board games.
Out there saving lives.
Saving lives. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, awesome.
Listen, I got this thing, this itch that I've been dealing with. I wasn't sure if.
She's registered. Go.
Good night, Nick Oben.
Oh my god.
Have a good night, Nick. Thanks for calling.
On that note,
You stayed on a minute too long, Nick.
Should have bailed out before.
You should have bailed out at 21 minutes. 22 minutes, it would have been fine. 21 minutes, it's done. All right, folks, phone lines open again, 813-618-7099. It is a call-in show, and I don't normally like letting people go too long, but when we go 30 minutes and nobody calls,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that
Give us something
caller
to talk
owns the
about.
show.
Give us something to talk about. Yep.
Lorenzo, we were talking about your Christmas
There we go.
uh-oh, there it is.
Oh, I know who this is.
Beans and Dice podcast. State your name and why it's Ron Fraser.
Does he know why?
This is Ron.
Just Mitchell.
Hey, Ron, how are you?
I am hot and sweaty. I had to wrestle with it.
Share some more, please. Share some more.
Didn't expect
We usually
that one.
save these for after 10 o'clock.
After dark.
No, you guys have kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh man. So that's why I was the first caller.
Okay. Okay. You were doing things.
Anyway.
You were outside doing stuff, sounds like.
I was being a parent.
Okay.
No. This is bedtime stuff.
Oh, okay.
But
So what's on your mind tonight?
what's on my mind tonight? Well, I'm gearing up for a good, I would say, a good game day of 2-player games with my buddy Tim, and trying to decide what I'm going to play. Like Atlantis Rising is on my short list.
Ooh, good game.
Asking me to play War of the Ring, maybe. Like, you know.
What kind of day y'all got set aside? Like a whole day? Because you talking about War of the Ring?
I have Saturday open. I have Saturday wide open.
Nice.
So so long as he has the time, I thought I could only get one gameplay in. I think I'm gonna teach War of the Ring, but like,
What's his gaming credentials?
The dude, he's very game mechanically inclined.
Okay.
He doesn't play a lot of board games, but he plays role playing games, and he's all about the crunchier role playing games. So
War of the Ring might work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna refresh my memory on the rules, because the other stuff that I can teach him, or stuff that we've played before, I don't really need to teach him the rules and everything like that. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that'll actually be my first honest to goodness gaming of the new year. Because other than that, I've either been playing solo games or just playing stuff on BGA or apps. So not a whole lot going on. Busy first 12 days of the year for me.
Better late than never.
Hey, don't put that pressure on you. You don't need a Fraser Khan to just try to keep up with the Obens.
Tough to keep up with the Obens.
Yeah, they're monsters over there.
I can't keep up. So what do you do when you have you bring these guys together that are just the winners? Like every game group has them. Like my friend Steve is that guy in my group. Family Nick Oben that guy. And then like up in Michigan, I had another friend like that. That was like that. So what happens when you put those guys together in a game? Like it's Thunderdome, man. Like
No, you pop your popcorn, you
Yeah,
grab
just
your
sit back
folding
and
chair,
watch,
and
yeah.
you just enjoy. Because one of them's walking out a loser, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, we got a couple in our group. We got Jim Odak. We got
Right, like
Nick
Odak was a
Oben.
sleeper though.
Yeah, oh, you came
Odak's
in
like
late.
that
Yeah,
that
you came in
'92
late.
Honda Civic with the hubcaps, and you pull up next to it and try to race it, and it just blows you out of the water. He's a sleeper. Like he's just quiet, very subtle, very
Just kinda
very
sneaks in there.
humble,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Blagada, 800 points."
He's a quiet one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess I wanted to say a word on the RPG stuff as I run people off. Maybe that's why people aren't calling. Anyway, but really, like, I know this is a board game show, but obviously, most of the folks on the call are at least someone interested in role playing games. But what's going on is a generational event in the hobby. Like the last time something this big happened was 2007, 2008, when Wizards of the Coast was switching to 4th edition and introducing a new license, which is that's their right? It's their game. They have product identity to protect. It's their right to put to put a license out, but like they seem to be they're corporations. In corporations do things that are in the best interest of the corporation.
Sure.
Not necessarily in the best interest of the gaming community. I think what's so tough about this is that, you've had this license that was supposed to be open and perpetual, and it doesn't deal with the IP. Nobody wants the IP, but it's like, now it's so ubiquitous in the hobby. Like even these games that have nothing to do with the open game license use it because it's a good shorthand for a legal contract. It was convenient, and now the company's acting in bad faith, which I'm sure there were completely different people in the C-suite now than there was even back in 2007, much less way back in 2000. So it's really interesting to watch. And I think the hobby's going to come out better as a result. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted something else just related to that. So Johnny O'Neill has chimed in, Brother One, a Brotherwise game, right? Because at least one of their call to adventure games has like a way to convert characters to D&D 5th edition stats. I don't know.
I saw his post.
People, yeah. So I don't have the game anymore because I think I told you the story.
So you think about all the different hubs, the spokes that come out of the hub of D&D for all the different things that people do, and their livelihoods are tied to this.
Yep.
That's why Ron, when he talks about it being a generational moment,
Yeah.
I get it. For a lot of RPG people, they're like, it has to do with D&D, doesn't have anything to do with me. No. The precedences that will be set from this could leak over, depending on the lawsuits, depending on the court cases, depending on the findings. These things can be used as precedents in IP conversations regarding our board game hobby. That's why when Ron says it's generational, it means something.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of how all the board games that may have something to do with touch on D&D or what have you, but like it's going to affect it's going to affect some board game companies.
If they can get away with it,
And- well, yeah.
what else can other publishers
and if
get
they
away
keep
with?
pushing it, because I mean, it sounds like they're already backing off of it quite a bit. So I mean, we'll see where this ends up. And again, it may just be a PR blip for them, a little nightmare here for for a little while.
I think it's
We
going to be bigger
don't
than this,
know.
even if
We
they go back
ultimately-
all the way. Sorry, go ahead, Ron.
No. Finish your sentence, Wayne.
I was going to say,
I'm
I
curious.
There's a
don't
lot
think
of speculation right now.
Go ahead, Wayne.
I was gonna say I don't think it's a blip, because I think all these other companies coming out and basically announcing their own systems and their own OGLs, and
Think about how it changed how every other company does business.
it's gonna be. I think even if they walk it back fully, they're gonna feel the hurt of this for a couple of years, and I think they're gonna lose out, because a lot of what drives D&D's popularity are the adventures, the Critical Roles, the Twitch streamers that are using some third party stuff, their own homemade worlds. And if they go off and use Pathfinder's system, well, the new gamers that are watching Critical Role next season, because Critical Role actually started on Pathfinder and switched to D&T because they got some money basically from WotC. If next season all of a sudden Critical Role switches from using D&D to using Pathfinder, well, all the new people that watch them and all their critters and everything, 50,000 people a week start playing Pathfinder instead of D&D. So I think this PR blip could be a bit bigger than just a blip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and don't forget, and I just want to say, don't forget, Paizo has a card game, right? Critical Role's company, Darrington Press, is working on a board game. Like, this isn't just. Yeah,
That's a good point, because the Paizo game, which I gave away at a Christmas, one of our Christmas swaps we did, I gave away my copy of Pathfinder, the adventure card game. That thing's a successful game. I know a lot of people don't play it, but it's got many, many expansions to it, which they wouldn't have gotten had they not sold. And I liked it. Rob, I think you and I played it, Rob. I taught it to you at one point.
Yeah, we played it. Mm-hmm.
It's a solid co-op-y
little
adventure card game.
Yeah. That's good. Good. Yeah, adventure card game. Yeah.
But it does play off of the D&D D20 system. It uses that D&D modifiers of your statistics to hit events, try to succeed at cards, find each next mission. Reminded me a lot of the Lord of the Rings card game.
Mm-hmm. The LCG.
Yeah, the LCG, where you're trying to get two different events in the bad guy deck to then finally beat the bad boss.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah. So, yep. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to
Well, thank you,
about
Bobby.
that. But
Sounds like it's time for you to get a shower after getting all hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
I should have just. You gotta turn these things off, don't we? Nick, making this call going on a minute too long, whatever. It's 10:00 now.
Bedtime at the Fraser household.
Great.
Time to get that hot
You must be
milk
drinking
and
some pretty
a
good.
little hot toddy, go to bed.
Yeah. Something like that.
Just let that go on by.
All right, Fraser, we love you, man. We
Okay,
appreciate
I'm
you
getting
every
off the
time.
phone.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Good night.
All right, take care.
Yep.
Hey, Ron.
Take care.
Good old Ron.
Yeah, Ron talked. I guess I was debating whether to jump in with this or not, but he was talking about how they're just looking out for themselves or the big corporation. I mean, this is going on, and I think a lot of people are learning this lesson. I mean, look at Disney. I mean, Disney, Bob Chapek out now, the old guy Bob Iger back in, and he's rolling back.
He's reversing.
Yeah, he's reversing everything Chapek did. He's talking about lowering prices at the parks. Chapek was touted for he keeps raising the price every year, and that's the only thing right now that's making money at Disney, and so he keeps raising it. But now everybody's looking at Disney parks and saying only the rich people can go to Disney. It's almost $200 a day for a non-Floridian now to visit a Disney park for one day per person.
His point of view was, if we keep raising the prices and people keep paying it, why am I going to lower the prices?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because, I mean, it does make
Eventually,
it
you
kind
hit a tip point.
Yeah, you got to look at what you're doing to your product, and you got to look at what you're doing to the people who consume
to your
it.
consumers, right?
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is, nobody says that everybody's going to get to go to Disney World.
Yeah.
Now, in Disney World's favor, it probably benefit them if everybody did or was able to go to Disney World. But there's no guarantees in life. There's no reason why everybody should be going to Disney World. Like, you're not guaranteed anything like that in life, unfortunately.
I think
Unless
you're
you win
right.
a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think Ron's
Right.
comment that corporation, they're looking out for their own interest. They believe they're looking out for their own interest, but I think what happens is you get, when Wizards of the Coast in 2000 was being run, they were being run by gamers, people that were publishers and writers and people that knew the product, and now they've brought in random person from Microsoft and random person from Amazon who don't know the gaming community and
Right.
don't know their product.
They're trying to run it like their business.
They're running it
business,
like
yeah.
their old bit. Yeah. And I think that's what happens. That's similar like with Disney. Like Iger ran it a certain way, and Chapek, whatever his name is, he came in.
Chapek,
and he was a Disney guy, but he clearly had a different vision that just didn't fit for the product. And I think that's where you see companies run into problems, is when new management comes in, all the old policies go away and they want to make it their own. And they may not have the best vision on what that should be,
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely missteps. So, but you guys, any games for the board this week?
Oh, I do have one.
He
But
has one. I was just telling before. I've been.
I was going to let Michael wrap up his Christmas conversation because
We have to get back to that. Yes,
It's like
absolutely.
45 minutes in between when he started.
What was it? I forgot what the conversation was
You
about.
flew into Florida for your
Flew
family
in,
and
got the
flying
flight right. Family's in town. Oldest
That's
boy's there playing games with you.
Oh, no,
Marvel
it was
Snap.
kind of
Second
like
oldest.
on the Marvel Snap thing. That was really.
That's what got us to Marvel Snap.
Yeah, we did play some games though. We got like 3 or 4 rounds of Ready Set Bet In, and
Nice.
I think that was really it. You always go with these grandiose ideas, like you're going to be playing all these games, and then it's like 1 or 2 games maybe get played. So,
Yeah.
but
I'm not
everybody
the only
again,
one that falls for that trap.
I'm storming my life.
Oh, man.
Every Christmas and Thanksgiving, I bring a big old bag of games to the family and never
It's like
play
one
one of them.
game.
Yeah.
You walk away with just gravy on your fingers and regret. Like
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you got.
That's pretty much what I do every time. I bring 5 or 6, and we play maybe 1. So yeah.
You know what sucked? Like we went to, and this was cool. My brother set this up. New Year's, we did a brunch. Like we've never done a brunch as a family.
Like the next
It was
day,
great
New
because
Year's
we
Day.
were done by 3:00. I didn't have to see nobody again the rest of the day.
Is that New Year's Eve or New Year's Day?
It was New Year's Eve.
New Year's
So-
Eve. Okay.
My wife was like, "Oh, what games are you bringing?" And I'm like, we were walking out the door. I'm like, I'm not bringing anything. Like I gave up. Like after Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all that,
Yeah.
I give up. I'm done. I'm
ever
done
give
even
up.
trying.
Don't ever give
I ain't
up.
bringing nothing. Then she convinced me to bring some games, and we ended up playing Throw Burrito.
Okay. You played a game. Yeah.
Pretty soon
But-
it's going to be like you're just grabbing Skull and walking out. That's all you're going to take with you.
I still struggle to teach Skull. As much as I think
How do
Skull
you
is a
struggle
great
to teach
pocket
that
game.
game, man. There's
Like people look at me with deadpan eyes, like I'm speaking,
maybe
Sprechen
that's
Sprechen
part of the
Deutsch.
problem.
Maybe that's the problem.
Freaking freaky dicky Dutch.
You can't teach the game in German, man. You got to teach it in English.
Oh man,
English is not his first language. Don't you
It
know
is
that,
not.
Wayne?
That is the kind of game that is simple, but it's weird how I'm with Carlos.
people
A lot
don't
of
get
times-
it. You can
but you have to
explain it,
play
and they're
around.
like,
You
"Wait a
just
minute,
gotta play-
what?"
You just got to play
What?
around or 2, and then or
Yeah,
frat.
you got to play around.
So do I
It's-
put this one down or not? And I'm like, no, you can't tell me what you put down because if I know what you put down, then I can call you out.
Rich says, surprise that special someone with a surprise Valentine's Day of CNC Napoleonics.
Oh man. In other words, don't give up. Keep trying. Actually, I did tell wifey. I said, listen. It's time for some Command and Colors. Like
Don't.
it's time to.
Whoa.
It's time to get
That's
in.
a big step.
That's where you're going to lose
Wargaming's
her,
another
man.
whole thing over there,
Carl-
even though it's on a board.
Carlos reports back next week that his wife kicked his ass.
I got a black eye.
Yeah. That's a big step. We'll have to hear back how that goes.
We're going straight combat. Let's go right into it.
All right, Mike, you've been keeping track of the big board here the last few weeks?
Yeah, you know what?
Okay.
I'll tell you, and I hate to admit it, but I really don't listen to your guys' podcast like
Yeah.
Oh, what podcast?
the audio side. I don't listen to it every week.
Yeah.
But I happened to listen to this episode when you guys first started doing this.
Okay.
And I was like, this is a freaking genius idea. Like, I mean, it really was like one of the best shows that I ever listened to
All
of
that
you
guy.
guys.
Yeah.
And
Sweet.
I'm like totally on board with this. I think it's really cool that you guys started doing this. So
Give us your
I
opinion.
am
You don't have
kinda
all the
up-
games. If you haven't been keeping track, you don't have all the games up there. But what did you think of the initial ratings? Were we on par with Mike World or what?
Yeah, I think most of the games I was on par with. But again, you have to take into consideration it's the games that you guys have played. like
just
that
our recent
week
plays
or whatever.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I totally get that, but for the most part, I was on board with where most of the rankings were. So
Okay.
I'll ask. Were you a Top Gear fan at all?
Oh yeah, I know all about the Top Gear board.
So it kind of hits.
That's where Carlos came up with it from. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah, like
Top
I've
Gear
always
was
I've
this
always
thing,
loved that board, that ranking board, and I'm like,
Oh,
how would
yeah.
you put that on board games? Like, and I thought, what the hell? I'll just try something. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And thank you for the comment and the feedback on it.
glad you enjoyed it.
You're not the first to give that feedback.
Yeah, that's cool.
Robert thought I was crazy as balls.
I
Like,
think it's going to
I
work.
liked the idea. There was some tweaks to it we did as we went along. So
and he
it's gotten
continues
better.
trying to put some rigor on it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no,
Well,
stop.
Carlos wants to go with the 8-foot tall board and wants to just have like 50 games up there.
Oh,
I
no,
like
no,
the
no,
idea
no.
of having like 15, some fall off the bottom as we put more on. And
You got to keep it concise and you
Yeah.
know,
See, I want the like Top Gear where the interns come in and kind of wheel the whole thing in. All 8-foot glory of it.
what interns? We got
can't-
your
you
dog
can't
and your
do that.
6-year-old gonna come in.
You don't have the production dollars for something like that quite yet.
Exactly.
But
But
I
I
think the
think
intern would take you.
The thing that I think is like what is really catchy about this is you're mentioning specific games that probably a lot of people have played or have not played, and they're like, oh yeah, that would probably be right about there on my list if it was on my list. And it's like you're getting people to they feel like they're interacting with you even though they're not interacting with you. Like
Yeah.
their games are in a certain order and they're comparing their likes to your likes and dislikes to your dislikes. So I think it really works.
Well, let's keep this thing going
all
right here.
While
I
we're
got
chatting, go ahead and write.
I got my
one to put on
strips.
there. Yeah.
Robert and I have committed to play more games, so I'm almost out of strips. Time to order some more.
Yeah, we gotta buy some more strips. Yeah.
We're talking about. I'm talking about finding a bigger board, but really, I've only had one play this past week.
Well, hold on. Here's a quick question. Are you guys going to be knocking games off the bottom at some point?
That was my plan. Yeah, I like the idea of games falling off and having just like my top
Right.
15 or something. Again, Carlos wants to have like 50 up there, so that's
Because it'll look cool.
Yeah, we're gonna fight about that one, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Or give us your feedback, people, if you have an idea. If you like the idea of some games dropping off, we're gonna re-rank games. The rule is now we talked about it last week. We can't put a game on or we can't move a game unless we've played it again. So I can't just say, because I was thinking last week I was like, you know what? I probably actually would switch these two. Maybe next week I'll make an announcement. I'll flop these two. He's like, not unless you play it again.
Before we
So,
go into that though, we did have a game of Guild of Merchant Explorers. Our
yeah.
second game
Okay.
of Guild
Yep,
of Merchant
yep, we
Explorers.
did.
And we did not do a modification, so that might be a good place to start.
Okay.
Before I start adding new ones to the board.
That's one
Robert,
play.
do you have any modifications to your Guild of Merchant Explorers?
Let me just run down
after another few plays.
my list real quick, 'cause I know it's a little hard to see. So just from top to bottom, these are not
Your
all
tiny handwriting.
These are not all time.
Your little hands.
Yeah, mine
Wow.
is definitely smaller. But
Wow.
we so recently we
I want that on video.
Oh,
I'm
my
gonna
smaller,
cut that out and put that on audio. Mine is definitely smaller.
So yes, definitely smaller. So we this is again not all time ranked. This is just recently played games. So mine is Unsettled, Trajan. I got your head in the way. Mosaic, Tapestry, Welcome to, Ethnos, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Ready Set Bet, Guild of Merchant Explorers, Alhambra, New York 1901, Star Wars Outer Rim, Heat, Potion Explosion, Skull, Point Salad, Flamecraft, Kites, and Caesar's Empire. I'm not going to be able to do that if we get 50 of them up there. But anyway, that's where we're at right now. So we've got to get a better camera or something if we're going to do that. But anyway, so right now I've got Guild of Merchant Explorers between Ready, Set, Bet and Alhambra. And I would say after I've actually played about 4 or 5 times now, I'm going to move Guild of Merchant Explorers up one space above Ready, Set, Bet, but still behind Lost Ruins of Arnak and Ethnos. So I'm gonna bump it one spot.
Not a bad move.
Okay.
Definitely not a bad
Just
move.
a little bump, but yeah.
I guess what's sad is I don't like agreeing with you. I don't.
Oh, no, you're gonna agree? Oh, yeah, I didn't know where you were gonna go
But
with this.
I am going to agree with you.
So he's got Guild of Merchant Explorers below Caesar's Empire and above Quicks.
Oh, geez. So we're gonna go above Ready Set Bet, which puts us above Caesar's Empire.
You guys played this game together?
We
yes.
did, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and it was the first time we played it. Robert taught it.
Yep.
Taught it to my wife, myself, and his daughter Emmy.
Yep.
But
So
I
we
mean,
all
like
played.
recently, since now that you guys
And
are
then we
moving
played
this-
again.
Oh,
we
we
just
did,
recently
yeah.
played again.
Yep, we did.
Because wifey and I were talking about it, and we're like I feel like we just need one more play of it. Like it just didn't make sense the first time we played it,
Yeah.
and it did grow. It grew on me.
Grew on you a
It
little
definitely
bit?
grew
Yeah.
on me.
like a
It grew.
fungus.
That's why you're big.
Not as big as Rob, but it still grew up.
Yeah, you grew a
Hey,
little bit. Oh, you're wow.
No,
you're moving like
no.
3 games.
No.
Oh, okay.
But I think still better than Marvel United.
Better than Marvel United.
I'm not a huge co-op fan.
Ron Fraser is going to be unhappy.
So it's going up 2 levels above Ready. Actually, well, no, above Caesars,
There's
above
Empire,
Ready
above
Set
Ready,
Bet,
Set Bet.
above Marvel.
Below
but
Welcome
I'd
to.
still rather play Welcome
Below
to.
Welcome to. Okay.
I still rather play
Outer
Welcome
Rim,
to.
just above it there. Okay, I like the fact that it moved up because again I had it fairly high on my board. It was middling of my board. It was the bottom third of your board, but now we're almost midway on your board. So okay, I
think
like that.
I want more plays.
Yep.
I want to play with the crystals.
Yep.
I want to try it again. It just the first time around, and Robert talked about it. It took him a play
Yeah.
to understand what the heck is going on here because it's all about moving your path out, but locking it in by getting villages set.
So
and if you don't get those villages set, you almost have to reset every age.
Because you can start from the new village and then start spreading out into the territory from there. So,
And I think that's where my frustration came in the first game is that I didn't feel like I got my spokes out, but all my spokes had to come back in for the next age.
Yep.
And I was just redoing what I did the first time.
Yep.
Whereas once I realized, wait a minute, if I can get a landing base out, I can now spoke out from there and touch a lot of other stuff.
There's better stuff as you go out onto the edges of the map. You've got the watch towers. You've got more of the ruins. You've got.
I still want to play this game.
It's a good one. It's light. It's just complicated enough that it does take a little bit of a teach. So it's not like you can just pick it up and teach it to anybody necessarily. It'll take a minute, but it's your first play. Like I say, even though it's not a complicated game, the first play just something doesn't click. I guess for most people, because most people I've taught it to the first time, they're like, "Huh, okay, I'm not sure that I love it, but I want to try it again." And then I'm finding that as people play it a couple times, they're liking it. So,
but then we also kind of figured out one of the rules. The rule with regards to locking a city down versus creating a trade post.
Right.
That they don't have to work together. You can create a trade post separate from locking a city down. So it really allowed me to gain a bunch of points by just doing trade posts and not locking my spokes down. Anyway, Guild of Merchant Explorers. It's definitely a try. It's
growing on you a little bit.
It's weird because it's the same dang cards. Like what
What's
cards
coming.
will come up every era.
Yep.
Era. But
They come out.
what order do they come out in?
It's the order.
And you kind of hedge your bets on. I'm going to try to go to this land and pray that the desert card comes out
Before
so that I can
grasslands.
click this and combo that out.
Yep.
That's Guild of Merchant Explorers.
It's a good game. It's fun. I recommend giving it a try.
All right, got a classic coming out here. Rob, pull it up on the BGG.
Okay, sure.
Potion
Potion
Uh-oh.
Explosion.
Explosion.
I did this one last
I need
week.
a better Sharpie.
All right, I did this last week. I'm going to pull it up here, but let me just remind everybody where I put Potion Explosion. It's in my lower half, probably down around my last third. I've got it behind Heat, above Skull, behind Star Wars Outer Rim, and above Point Salad. But that's where I put it. So we're going to find out in just a minute. But I'll go ahead and pull it up on the BGG.
I'm gonna have to get a better Sharpie here after this. Explode. English is not my first language. Jin. Let me see if I can't get this Sharpied up. Come on, give me some ink.
Smack that Sharpie.
Yeah. There you go. It worked a little bit. Potion Explosion. It is a 20. What is it? What year is this one?
2015.
2015 title. By
Stefano Castelli, Andrea Crespi, and Lorenzo Silva, and Horrible Guild Games.
we got this as a free copy.
Yeah,
from
we did. I forgot
Cool
about
Mini
that.
or Not
Simon, yep.
at the CMON Expo 2019 is when we got a hold of this game. And I played it a few times since then, but not much. But you talked about it on the show.
Yeah, reminded you about it?
And it reminded me of what a good title it is. So let's pull up the board here.
Yep. I'll minimize this, get rid of this. But yeah, fun game. It's real light. Anybody who's played Candy Crush or anything like that on the digitals, it's just right up that combo-y goodness, smacking marbles together, pulling stuff out of a dispenser. It's lots of fun.
Oh, man. Geez, I'd rather play it more than New York 1901.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know
Uh-oh.
if I want to play it more than Welcome To. This is like the tough part. Like,
Yeah.
Your honeymoon's already over with New York, huh?
Yeah.
New York is good. New York is good.
Oh
It's a
no,
good
it's a
game.
great game. I know how crazy you were about it when you first played it, and I mean rightfully so. Don't get me wrong, but
And we both have it right in the middle of our list, actually, right next to each
I
other.
wonder if it'll even fit.
Yeah, you may have to
Yeah,
drop
see?
something.
See, and
Drop
to me,
something, man.
Drop something.
it's in the vein
the
of
fans
Gizmos.
want you to drop something.
Not today,
Oh,
Satan.
Not yet. He's gonna squeeze like 2 or 3 more in there.
I think I can get maybe one more. I think after this,
Just
this
one
is
more.
it.
All right, he's gonna be forced.
Oh, Tiny Epic Kingdoms. Like, I want to move you. And this what sucks is I'm going to have to play it again in order to move it.
Yeah. If you put it above it, it's there.
I like
Right?
that rule.
I have to play it again before I can adjust it.
So wherever you put this, it's gonna stay there a little bit.
It's here. It's in this
right around
zone.
the 1901, above or below, above
He
or
wants
below.
to put it right on top of 1901 is what he wants to
It's
say.
something about, man, when you pluck
Yeah.
a chemical, an alchemy marble, and then it triggers this chain
They roll
reaction.
down and those 2 click together, and you can
And
pull
then the
more.
ones that came out that were hidden,
you couldn't see.
that combo in, and you're like, ow!
Another unexpected combo.
And you got a hand, and this isn't Gizmos. Gizmos has plastic balls,
Oh,
right? They're
balls.
plastic marbles, right?
Marbles,
Very
yeah.
light, very easy. These are marbles
Yeah, glass.
in post. So you hear a
Click, click.
satisfying click,
Click,
clank,
click.
and then your hand fills up, and you feel the weight of the marbles in your hand, and you're like, click, click,
Very
click.
tactile type game.
I've been reading the Brandon Sanderson books.
Oh yeah.
I've been getting into this whole Cosmere world, and all I think about is like the spheres that they talk about that they use for their currency, which are like these marbles, and I'm just sitting here holding them the whole time. I've probably played between the tabletop version and the app because of your conversation. I've probably played a dozen games of Potion Explosion
Oh,
since
really?
last week.
Okay. Well,
All right, on that note, let's get back to the
gotta
board.
get it on the board. Come on.
Ah,
Where are you putting it? Above or below 1901?
Yeah,
Oh, it's going
I'm gonna
above.
regret it.
It's going above.
No, you're
It's going
not.
there.
Oh,
Above 1901, below Tiny Epic Kingdoms.
It's going to
So-
get you to play New York.
No, it's
again.
got to go above Tiny Epic. I'd
Oh, you
rather
can't
play
move
than
it.
Tiny
You can't
Epic.
move it.
But I can put
He's got a 30-second rule. Yeah, 30-second rule.
I'll put Potion Explosion there.
Above Tiny Epic, below
What?
Tapestry.
And I'll get a new Sharpie to clean that up. So it's below Tapestry.
Well, once he breaks 200 in Tapestry or 100 in Tapestry, let's be honest, he'll move that up.
100.
But
if I can get 50, I'll
you
be
get 50
happy.
in Tapestry, you move that up. All right.
I feel like these are my like bigger games that I
Yeah.
like up here. Like like TI4 will probably end when I play it. It'll end up here. It'll probably stay there for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see that these are a lot more of my casual games are falling into this lower section, and I think there'll be more movement in that casual.
Yeah,
world.
for sure. I think so. Yeah, those big ones at the top will.
Wayne,
will
did
stick
you
in there.
start a list on your end?
No. I just make fun of their list.
Yeah. usually, every time we put one up, we ask him to chime in. So, what do you think, Wayne? Then of the
I
ranking
really-
of Potion
I really-
Explosion?
I dig Potion Explosion. I play a crap ton of it on BGA, and it's a game that I bust out. It's like you said, the tactile nature of it is great. The expansions are great. I think I love New York
Agreed,
1901. I do too. I agree with
Yeah,
Ron.
Ron says drop games. These two guys say drop games. I think we're 4-1 right now.
I think New York 1901 is a better game, but I would probably play Potion Explosion more regularly because that's a game that I can get to the table even with my 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then Rob's list is just all light games. Every game's light to Rob. So
Oh yeah, nothing's heavy enough. I gotta find a
Nothing's
heavy
heavy.
game that I can get up there. So I gotta put this up there. So Rich says, any plans to go back to putting this out as an audio podcast? If it's easy to do, seems like a no-brainer. What's your thought on that,
It's
Carlos?
the reminder.
Yeah,
It's
the reminder to do it every week.
like
Yeah.
I try to and as soon as we leave here I hit download the audio, and then
Yep.
all I got to do is edit the audio and get it published and put up the content, like the words, right?
That's the real problem. You have to.
But then
edit
right, because I
something.
start work the next day, and then I'm grinding till like 6:30, then it's Friday night, and then I'm like drinking till like 1:30.
Oh, the cows come home.
Wow.
And then it's Saturday morning, and I'm doing house chores, taking care of kids. Next thing I know, it's Monday. And it's like, oh, crap. I've already downloaded it. I just haven't uploaded the audio version.
So,
Sounds
Rich,
like
if you
he's
just want to
handing that
send
job off to somebody.
send Carlos a reminder every.
I'm going to have to give Rich like my cell phone number.
Yeah,
like,
have him call you every
'cause
time.
what's great is
hey,
Rich is messaging me on Discord, and like I haven't seen my Discord in a week and a half.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I finally get on there. Rich is like, hey, when you get a moment, can you jump into this channel? And I'm like, oh, my bad. It's been like 8 days.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give people my cell phone to be like, hey, Carlos, we need you to get it together.
Once Mitchell is, done with his plays, we might start doing some podcast stuff again. And
I hope so. Yeah, I plan
and
to go back
Carlos,
to that.
I'm happy to learn how to edit and post the audios, man. Just, I can do it. So
I'll have to figure it out.
I think Diego had a good question there.
Yeah, can you upgrade gizmos to use marbles? So you can, I think, for sure. There's nothing
it's the
specific
size
about
of the marbles
gizmos.
that might be the only issue. You just have because I think they're smaller, aren't they? They're not like regular size.
Yeah, like
marbles.
Rob's.
Yeah, little marbles instead of big marbles. Yeah,
Wow.
I have it on audio. You said it. Yours
Yes.
is definitely smaller.
mine's definitely smaller up there. Yeah, it's right there. Everybody can see. It's
That's not a bad idea though. Just using
just swap out some regular marbles.
because now I know we had trouble with the CMON ones because they were cracking. The Potion Explosion marbles. I don't know if anybody else in the show has Potion
first
Explosion.
printing. Yeah, the first
Yes,
printing
they had these shattered marbles
Oh, I
in the
don't know.
bag.
They
I
would
must
break
have
if
a-
you drop. Well, if you drop it on the floor, like a hard floor, it might break too. Yeah.
No, I haven't had that problem. My marbles are pretty solid.
That's because your wife keeps them on the shelf and
Yeah.
might give you one back on Saturday night.
No, they get abused.
This show hits 10 p.m. and it goes
Yeah, it's
downhill
after
very fast.
dark.
It's all Nick Oben's fault for waiting too long on his call.
Oh,
Oh, now we're in trouble.
uh-oh.
Oh, we got a call.
The adults are calling in. Beans and Ice podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Connor from Louisiana.
Hey, my man. Where are your marbles? Where are your marbles?
Do what?
Where are your marbles
Where
at?
are my marbles? Oh, man. Well, I mean, I can't say that on the show.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. I wanted to call in and give a quick update about those little indie Kickstarters.
Oh,
that I
yeah.
got. Jeremy finally badgered me enough to sit down and learn one.
Sweet.
So I ended up picking up and learning Sunshine City, which I think was one of the ones that on BGA they don't have any posts about. So once I eventually teach it to them, I'll have to take a bunch of nice quality pictures and post it on there.
And we're gonna take a quick look here while you're talking to see if they've got anything new up there.
Oh, that's the one that had the
Yeah,
one
go for it.
picture.
yeah, that's it. Still one picture.
I had the one picture.
Yep.
But what ended up happening is, I finally went to my files and downloaded a bunch of them on my iPad, and I ended up playing just the basic bare bones beginner map with one of the 8 solo options that they offer, because there's 8. So the way that it kind of plays out, it's a very simple worker game. And actually the one that I was on BGA, I'm looking at the stream now, the one on BGA is the same map design, but I don't think it has everything that my version has.
Okay.
It's the same art. Yeah, I don't see anything on it. So it's the same art, but it doesn't look the same as my sheet in terms of action spaces. But it is it's a roll and write worker placement game. So you have to find, in the rulebook, they tell you to find just any colored pieces, 3 separate colors that would represent the workers. So you have 3 workers. You have an inventor, you have a scientist, and you have, I think it's an influencer is what they call it. And each have like their own shape associated with them.
So it says builder,
And-
inventor, and lobbyist.
That's what they are. I couldn't remember their name.
I like
but
that. You said
I know my-
influencer. Very similar. Lobbyist.
yeah, lobbies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And so everyone starts on one space, and you'll roll 2 dice. Usually it's 2. I think they say 2d6. And so your roll for the first roll, it has to be 2 different numbers. And so the way movement works, and everybody takes their turn simultaneously. So you take your lower number and you move any one of those 3 workers clockwise to whatever district that would put you in. Now you collect resources based on your production in that district, and you are filling in the shape that worker is associated with using the resources you have. But it could be in any of the districts in the city. Once you do that, you take the second worker with the higher number and go around. That is the entire game. It is the most simplistic gameplay I've ever seen. However, there's some different things that look now I'm actually seeing on screen. So you have 3 different workers trying to describe, and I know it's going to be a little bit lag between what I'm saying and what the stream is showing.
No, don't worry about the
but
screen. You talk away.
Gotcha, will do. So there's 3 parts of a district. There are, and it kind of associates with the 3 shapes. So I know yellow is square, red is I think hex, and then blue is circle. And they kind of correspond to the same spots on the same districts. So you'll notice that the squares are making these tall columns starting with maybe, I think it's by 4, then 5, then 6. And I think there might be one at 7, but I could be wrong.
Looks like 3, 4, 5,
Which
6
will
is
be
what
like
we're seeing here. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So that'll be kind of on the right side of a district. Then the top left, you'll see another shape, and then the bottom, you'll see circle.
I love that the only video is in Spanish.
Yes, it
like
is.
I'm the only one that can understand what El Don Loco is
know.
playing.
So you're moving workers around. Each worker is associated with a specific shape on the board, and you're having to spend resources to do that. So like I'm going to forget the names again, but the worker that is associated with squares is how you build your engine and get more resources in that district. Which I know it's like, there's like a computer chip, there's a log, glass, metal, I think it's like tech, I think is what they call it, and then a cell phone. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 resources, and then there's a money token, which is a wild resource. You can use it as anything, wherever. So you're building an engine with one worker to get resources that every worker can use for their associated square, or district. I mean, the hex worker ends up giving you different abilities based on where the district, like based on the district that you're in. So like one district might say, cool, all workers in this district get an additional resource to spend. One might say, get an additional wild. All the abilities vary based on the building. You just have to read them. And thankfully in the rule book, they give you deep clarifications on what those mean and what they can do in case someone gets lost, which is really nice. And then lastly, there are, at the bottom of every district, little circles. You have these different vehicles that people can use to travel between. And so once you cross off all the resources in the circle, you get a little gear. On the bottom left side of the board, there's little like one-time bonuses that you get and that you have to spend immediately in order to like make use of them so you don't accidentally lose track. So like one might just be get 3 wild resources that you spend on any shape, on any district, in any combination. That might be, each worker gets 2 extra resources, so on and so forth. And all the abilities will change between the different maps that they have released. I think so far they have released maybe 6 different maps with each their own art style and their own unique districts. And so once the generator comes out, which I'm glad I backed the tier that has that option, you'll be able to mix and match however you please with whatever art style you want. So it's a pretty straightforward roll and write game with, a fairly decent mechanic. The whole point of the game is that you're trying to get your city from carbon to solar energy.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so
I was waiting for the theme.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like just going on a tangent. The way you get solar farms is that you have to cross every single square, hex, and circle that appears in a district. Every single one. Whether or not it actually gives you anything, you have to cross everything off. Once you do that, you now have a solar farm. There's 3 ways there's like 3 different lengths of the game. You can do short, medium, long. I don't recall the amount of solar that you need for each one, but it's like, I think it may be like 6 maybe like 4, 6, and 10 or 12 or something like that, depending on how long you want the game to run. Obviously, the higher player count, you might want it to be shorter. Who knows? The game does play 1 to 100, which I'm sure that's just however many people you want to have playing at the same time. So if you end up picking, if the files end up coming out for you guys, this might be one y'all can play on Discord or over the internet one day for all the audience to play.
So how do you like this game?
Yeah, if you had a ranking board, where would you put it?
Oh man, well if I did y'all's little magnetic board that y'all been doing, I'd probably put it in terms of rolling rights. I'd probably put it, probably somewhere between. Like I like it more than most rolling rights that I've played, but not as much as others. Like I like Dinosaur Island rolling right a lot more than this.
Okay.
Hadrian's Wall, just because they're more in depth. This was more
my favorites.
This was more. I would consider this probably more gateway. This is a good way to teach like comboing, and honestly just most rolling rights, because it's a straightforward, simplistic, and it adds more depth as you get the other maps. I only got to play it solo play. I'm waiting to teach this to a bunch of other people once I print out a bunch. And with the solos, they're really cool. They have their own little challenges, and the gameplay is the exact same. You just have to worry about another component, essentially. So I played in my solo game. There was a guy, I forgot what his name was, but his goal was like making sure the city stayed as carbon, and you never went to solo. So he would dip up around the map, and he would just like basically take down production and saying, cool, you can still produce here, but now you're going to produce carbon. You're not going to be able to produce solar. So it became somewhat of a challenge to actually finish it. And I ended up losing, but he's supposed to be the easy one. So I mean, I'm tempted to see what the hard ones are like.
Interesting. I had my eye on this one
So-
when it was on Kickstarter, and I passed on it. I've backed a couple of small ones like this, like Voyages, and I actually just backed the Source. But this one looks interesting. I'm glad you called in and talked about it, because this one did kind of catch my eye, but I was kind of iffy on it.
Yeah, and like I said, for the price, I think it was like the lowest tier was like $5, and you got the 8 maps that came out with it. That's an amazing deal for the kind of game that it is.
Yeah.
I ended up doing the tier that has the infinite generator on it, which they still haven't said anything. I know they said they're still working on like the fine tuning of it, but they haven't fully released it yet. But with what they were saying, it's supposed to be, and I think that tier was $12. I think at that point it'll be like a really nice addition of the game.
Yeah. Cool.
It gives
But-
me the feels of like what's the Rolling Right that Stegmaier did? Rolling Realms.
Rolling Realms.
Like where
Rolling Realms, yeah.
it started, right? Because you called in that day about the print and play games, and I talked to you about my trepidation with getting into print and play, because I've been in the printing industry. I know what it costs to print stuff, and I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Michael, I've seen you print laminated game sheets, Thunder Alley specifically, that you gave me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you printing your own game. Your meticulousness would bother you so much
Uh-oh,
to
he's gonna
get it
prove you
just
wrong.
right.
He's gonna
Oh, he's
prove
gonna
you
prove me wrong.
Yeah, he's got something back there.
So what I'm trying to
There
say
it
is,
is. Yeah.
oh, look at
Voyages
that.
right here, maybe.
Voyages,
And I'm
yeah.
sure every one of them, the margins are exactly the same on all of them.
But here's the thing: you don't have to. They give you the PDFs. If you got an iPad, you can just play on your iPad. You just mark up your iPad.
And that's what I did.
Right.
I'm glad to
I
see
mean,
that
it's
this
kinda
one
like-
wasn't as complicated. This one seems to be like a one
It's
pager.
not.
I can print it on my HP,
Exactly.
enjoy my $5 that I spent.
Exactly. And you can print in black and
Mhm.
white if you really
I
have
mean-
to.
It was kind of weird playing the worker placement part of it on my iPad, because I had to like I tried one version where I just like took a color on my whatever app I was using and just like coloring in a spot. But then I would forget to move some things, so I ended up taking these little like rubber circles I had that were different colors, and I just threw them on my iPad screen.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm sure once I get it to a physical paper format, it'll be much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
These are definitely becoming more
But
popular.
yeah, so that's definitely. So that's one of I think I said 6 that I have. So that's one of 6 down. I'm waiting to get the other ones in there, and I'll be able to slowly start telling you all about them. Hopefully,
I'm still
Getting
waiting
more
for
than
that
one
Notebook
game.
Adventures
the
one.
pocketbook notebook one. Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
going to
that
say
was-
too.
oh, the
that
pocketbook.
Yeah, that one seemed awesome.
That one definitely seemed
That
pretty
one,
cool.
I think that one's supposed to get to me in February, so we're getting close.
Nice. Very
Hey,
nice.
Connor, did you back the Source? That one just ended today, I think.
The Source.
It
I
was kind of
don't think
like
so.
The Matrix, very sci-fi-ish roll and write, but it was like a print and play. It was like $5. I ended up backing it because it looked really interesting.
I don't think I ever heard that one. I haven't been on the Kickstarter site to like shop around for a little while. I've been just trying to get through the ones I've already paid for.
You're much better for not doing that, believe me.
Yeah.
So cool. I forgot to call in and tell you about it, and
Awesome.
over time. Oh, and then I'll have I haven't played them yet, but I also got my hands on doing an Ollie's run around town. I ended up picking up Summer Camp.
Oh,
as well as,
right behind me, bro. That's a good one.
Is it? I'm glad. I'm excited. I'm ready to play it.
Praise
I
be.
ended up picking that one up for $8 at Ollie's, and then I ended up finding Control, which is by Panasaurus Games.
Troll.
But that one's supposed to be really, really intriguing. So once I play through them, I'll have to call back in and let you know about those.
Yeah. Summer Camp is fun. It needs some expansions, which would be. It seems like it's rife for it because there's you only use 3 merit badges and you can rotate, but it only comes I think with 6 or 7. You could easily expand that game and make it a little bit more complex or a little bit fun. But it's a fun light game, family weight type game. That's good. I enjoy it.
Definitely. All right. Thank you, guys.
No, appreciate
Thanks
you,
for
Bobby.
calling. Keep
Thanks for being the last caller.
keep updating us on those games as you get them in and get them
Yeah.
played.
Sounds cool.
Absolutely.
Good night, Connor.
Later.
All right. Good night.
All right. Well, that gets us well past the 10 o'clock hour.
And we're
Yeah,
pushing
time
2
flew.
hours here almost.
Yeah.
We are in the dark.
Hour and
Yes-
40.
yesterday, last week we hit 2 hours.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Stretching these out.
Are we
long as
going to
people
do a round of what'd you get this week?
Mike's got something he wants to tell us about. What do you got,
Oh,
Mike?
no. I was just,
No.
I figured we might as well make it 2 hours. We're almost there.
I got nothing. I got nothing on that front.
I got Doom Immortality picking up Saturday.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
What'd you get?
Oh, yeah. You're
Doom
getting that.
Immortality.
You picking that up at Armada?
Yeah, I messaged him. I said,
saw
"Hey,
that.
do you have a copy of that? I'll set aside for me. I'll pick it up on Saturday."
You thinking about playing Dune Saturday?
Possibly, yeah. I'll be there too. I can bring my copy and
Okay.
I'll
be
I
there.
also have Ix. I got Ix.
You have
and,
Ix?
No, boy.
and yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'll remind the folks at home. You guys come on Saturday
I haven't
before
played
everybody goes.
Ix yet. Yeah.
If
Saturday.
you're a Tampa folk, we've got our second Saturday game day, Armada Games. I'm not certain what time I'll be there, but I'll definitely be there to say hi at minimum.
I'm not going to be right at the start. I think at Armada we usually kick off around noon. I'm almost always there at noon, but this week I got a Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts thing with my son, so it's going to run till noon. So I plan to be there between 1 and 2 o'clock. I know, Wayne, you said you're going to be there probably around 2 o'clock.
Yeah, probably right on to. My kid's got a soccer game, like I think at 11:30 in Plant City. So once that's over, I'll be
Okay.
over.
Sweet. And yeah, if you want to play a game of Dune, save me a spot. I haven't played X yet, and I obviously haven't played the new one yet. So
Yeah.
one or both of them, I'd be all down for it.
Yeah, I'll bring it and we'll definitely get it done because I plan on being there from 2 till when it's
Yeah,
done.
me too. Till close. Yeah.
Yep.
And you don't know when you're going to be there yet, Carlos?
No. Whenever I
drop in.
decide to get up and pop in,
Okay.
we got the kids. Got no babysitters lined up, so looking for some lighter game fare to start with. Something medium to heavier weight in the afternoon, and then by the time the kids will probably be tapping out.
That's why the big boys are playing Dune. You can do some Welcome To or something. Yeah.
No. I got ideas. Like,
Okay.
there's some games I want to get in.
All right.
I keep looking at Radlands. Like, God, I got to find somebody to sit and get a game of Radlands in.
Like, I'll play it on Saturday.
And I want Zombicide and
Zombicide. Oh, now you're going big.
and then most importantly I want Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. I want to get that in. Rob's favorite.
If you would just stopped at Terraforming Mars, I'm all down. But Ares Expedition, yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
I kind of like that one better.
Yeah, no, I don't. But that's okay. You can be wrong.
Yeah, you're allowed to be wrong, Robert. BGG tells me you're right.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so anything new, Wayne or Mike?
Just I'm looking forward to Dune Immortality, and I'll tell you
Yeah,
what. My only last comment, and then I'll turn it over to Mike for the end. Is I have that board game mosaic calendar.
Oh,
that
yeah,
has
yeah.
the 10x10 challenge, and it has on the side of each month games played. And I tell you what, like, just having something that drives you to do.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it super serious. I'm not going crazy like a game a day like Nick Oben did. But I've
Yeah.
probably played more games since January 1 this year, like probably 5 times more games already this month than the previous
Nice.
January. So just having that motivation, and even my kid, like, oh, let's go play a game because we gotta add a game to the list of games played, and and it has the games played that you listed. It has the 10x10 challenge or 5x10 or whatever it is, all the various variations of that, and then it's got another sheet of like challenges. Like every month, this month it was play a game new to you, play a worker placement game, play a game with a dragon. So check off those 3 boxes, and then like the next month there's another set of challenges. So
that's cool.
It's working out well. I'm enjoying the fact that I kickstarted that calendar. It's a beautiful calendar, and it gives me motivation to get some more games played. So I'm having fun with it.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, share your progress. It's the first time we're hearing about it. I know it's also the first couple weeks of the year.
Yeah.
On this new calendar of yours, but bring it with you to each show. We want to see it.
Yeah, get your updates.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, to you. What's up?
My latest new ones are
Right here
Oros.
and right here.
Oro Switch. Man, the more I watch about this game, the more I'm very excited to play it. It's the one where you're shifting lands around and you're creating volcanoes, and I highly recommend pulling it up and just watching because it looks very cool. And plus, it has a little bit of table presence to it. I happen to like the artwork. It's a little simplistic, but the colors are nice and everything. And then the other one that I picked up is Vengeance Roll and Fight Seasons 1 and 2, which is a solo. I guess it's really not a solo game, but another one that I'm pretty excited to get to the table. But those are like my 2 newest ones. As far as plays, I did play Endless Winter, and I was going to say a couple of weeks ago with my wife and a friend of ours, we ended up playing Foundations of Rome, which I hadn't played since I got it the first time.
Yeah.
And man, that is such a good game. I mean,
It
it's very easy to teach.
Yep.
And again, I didn't play with any of the modules because it was kind of like a refresher for me. But after playing it again, it was like, I really want to get this played again, but with some of the modules, like swap in a module or two and see how that changes up the gameplay. But I know it's a beast of a box, so it pretty much lives in my home. It really doesn't get taken anywhere, but it's just a solid game, just a fun, solid game.
It is.
It's like they overproduced it out of playability. Like,
I mean, yeah, could you have made it out of cardboard tiles? Sure, but
New York 1901. Like, that's what I think of when I think of Foundations of Rome.
Similar, yeah.
Agreed, but the table present, I mean, it's all part of it. It's the tactile feeling of it. And,
those buildings are gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, man.
And then that top-down view when you're done, looking at it, it just feels cool.
Yeah.
But there is a subset of games that just don't leave your house because they're just too big to carry around.
Oh, are you kidding me, man? Where am I?
Over there.
Over here. This one.
Almost.
Just do this with your hand.
That Everdell.
All of these expensive games.
Oh, Everdell, that's
my house.
Everdell Complete. Man, jeez, good gravy, man. That box is like, I could drive that thing to somebody's house. It's like so big. It's getting out of hand, man. Totally.
So big you had to buy a topper to get all that stuff home.
There you go. I did. I did. So, but anyway, those were the newest games and the one game that kind of like stuck out for me in the past couple of weeks.
Cool. Well, actually, I forgot. I might have mentioned it before. I can't remember. But I got Destinies at Christmas, and I have not gotten that to the table yet. But
nice.
That's one I'm really wanting to play. And some people have some complaints. I've kind of started looking online a little more because when it first came out, which was, a year and a half ago, was a lot of buzz about it. And I was reading up on it a lot. But I hadn't heard a whole lot about it lately. My in-laws, I gave them a list about 6 or 7 games. It was probably the one on the list that I was least optimistic that I was going to get. But so I had a couple that were pretty high ranked above it. And then when I opened it up and on Christmas and saw it, I was like, "Oh, all right, sweet. This is actually one that I really want to
heavy
get
on
into."
story for you, though, isn't it?
It is a little bit, but it's through an app. So if an app's carrying that weight for me, I think it'll make it better. So
Okay, cool.
So we'll see. But yeah, I'm itching to get that one. So I got to get a couple people together to get that played. So
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what you think about that game.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely have a report on that. Hopefully, real soon.
No update on Haven.
I have not.
Yeah,
no,
no
word.
Don't even bring that up. Yeah.
Not even a tracking number.
Thinking about calling Childress and asking him if he lost my.
Are you serious? You haven't gotten your copy yet?
I haven't gotten anything yet. Yeah,
man.
Their updates are saying they're going to be delivering into February. So
okay. Well,
so I must be at the tail end, but yeah, they're still to come, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
I've been stuck in like reading mode. We burned through all Yellowstone. We did not do the extra series. We didn't get into those yet. But I got into that Brandon Sanderson, and I went through the first novel of the.
Just can't get into that stuff, man.
The King of Ways, The Way of Kings.
I think it is
the Stormlight Archives one. So I did the first book of that, but then someone Michael Fortino threw up in the Discord, if you like that, you got to try the Mistborn one. And I'm like, okay, so you got 2 series of books where each book is like 40 hours long.
Yep.
Like I'm not gonna be able to do both. I got to pick one and stick with it.
So you did both.
Well, so
I knew where that was going. Even though I didn't know, but I knew where that was going.
So I did both. But I figured, you know what? I'm gonna do both first books and then decide of these 2 books which one hits harder.
Which one?
And then I can use
before you read the other one after.
Right.
Yeah.
No, because I'm gonna have to finish that series before I jump back into the other one.
Throwing away 40 hours.
I told you, man. I tried starting that first book like 5 times. I just could not get into it, man.
Was it the Stormlight Archives or the Mistborn series?
It was the Way of Kings. I tried
the Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archives. Okay, that one's more set in like medievalish, ancient times. Whereas the Mistborn one is a little more surprising. It's set more like in Brass Birmingham, right? There's canals that move stuff around. Like there's horse-drawn carriages, right? So it's a little more. I don't know if you call it Victorian. Listen, I don't know the words.
Victorian.
I think you're on.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
There's balls and there's dancing and. So like
balls.
Yeah, Mistborn is losing me. Mistborn is losing me quick. I think I'm identifying more with the Way of Kings. Now, Mistborn, each of those books are about 25 hours, whereas the
Way of Kings is like 40
40.
plus, man.
Wow.
Each book.
Yeah.
And it's like, ugh. But hey, it's still only 1 credit on Audible.
Dude, good reading is good reading, though, man. It doesn't matter how long it is.
It's it's taking me away from gaming. Sorry, like we
Don't
can't have.
apologize.
There's
rough.
stuff, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, it makes me want a game. It definitely makes me want a game.
Let's game. Let's do it. Saturday.
Saturday night, we'll do it.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday.
So that's our update. That's where we've been. That is the show.
Yeah.
Which I will make sure to try to remember to turn it into an audio podcast tomorrow.
Get the audio.
Try
out
to
there.
remember. Come on.
Because I do like listening to the audio version.
I'll send you a reminder.
I know Robert doesn't, but I like going back and listening to the audio version. Just stuff I didn't catch
I can't
while
do
I'm like
this. I lived it.
transitioning
I
scenes
did
or
it.
editing something on a, on the banner or something. I might miss something that was said, so I catch myself laughing afterwards. Like, oh, I can't believe I missed that. That was hilarious.
Got a couple of weeks to catch up on.
Yeah. All right, Rob, we'll sign us off.
Sure. Bye. We're the Beans and Dice Podcast, a podcast about
How we game.
Thanks
All
for
right.
listening, everybody. Have a good evening.
Good night, y'all. We'll catch you on the next
Bye.
one. See you Saturday and see you Thursday. Bye.
Happy gaming.
Hey, Edmund. Way to check in.